Okay. Again, this is our session number 6, focusing on mental health awareness. And I'm going to turn the floor over to our SGA representative from the Lacombe location, Ms. Jessica, who is going to introduce our speaker for today. Jessica.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. This afternoon, this is our last session on mental health. And we have a special guest speaker today, Ms. Vanice, and she is with Access Health Louisiana, and she is going to do a presentation for us today on mental health. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jessica. I guess that means it's my turn, right, Christy? So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to be able to present on the topic of mental health. It's been a pretty popular topic for us more recently, right? Since COVID has come and changed a lot of our world. So I'm happy to be able to just share some information and some quick tips with you all as far as just stress management, and just what's really important is ways for us to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. And so I do want to talk about how we can continue to maintain self-care. That's very important, especially during these times of uncertainty. We want to make sure we're still taking care of ourselves. It's funny because a lot of people now are talking about, like, you know, being at home all the time and gaining weight and watching TV and just kind of being stuck in the house a lot. And so you really now starting to see a lot of increased anxiety and depression because it's so different now. You can't maybe see family as much as you used to, and family events, and you know, you're not moving around as much. A lot of people are working from home now, right? So when you're working from home, you get comfortable and you're kind of sitting there, you're not as mobile. So it's a lot of changes that we have to make sure that we're staying in tune with ourselves to think about it, like, okay, am I moving enough? Am I, you know, getting up and getting out, getting some sunlight? All of those seem like small things. Really, we need to make sure that we make a special initiative to get up and do things. And even family, do Zoom meetings with your family, and just try to find ways to stay connected to family, especially those of us who have older family members, maybe our parents or our grandparents who are older and they're more vulnerable. So think of safe ways that you can still be around them, whether it's through, you know, my dad is older and he is considered high risk as far as getting ill. So I'm always masked up if I'm around him. We do a lot of FaceTime, social distancing. And yeah, it's hard because I tell you, when I see him, I just want to grab him and give him a big hug, and I can't. But that's the part that, you know, we have to continue thinking, okay, this is a temporary situation right now. We just have to do our best to get through it. And so, I think this topic of stress management is very important for us to talk about, because I could probably guess that a lot of people are probably dealing with stress at one level or another. So before I get started to share my screen, I did want to say that I do have 2 people on the call joining me from the Access Health team. Just wanted to introduce them. I'm not going to put them on the spot to say anything unless they want to, but I have Dr. Jan Kasofsky on the call. She is the Vice President of Behavioral Health Services for Access Health Louisiana. And I have Noelle Raymond on the call. She is a LMSW and patient liaison with Access Health Louisiana. And I would like to give her credit where credit's due. Noelle actually did develop the presentation that I will be presenting today. And so giving her credit on that. She put together a really great presentation for you all. And so I have the privilege of being able to share that presentation and give you all the information. So I thank both Noelle and Dr. Kasofsky for joining the call. You know, you have your team and they support you, and that's always appreciated. All right, so I will go ahead and start sharing my screen and we will get rolling. So everybody, I'm going to assume can see the screen right now. I see Jessica nodding her head, yes. So I'm going to take that as a yes. I see Christy nodding yes. So yeah, we're good to go. Stress management. So looking at this picture, isn't this just like a picture that a lot of people can relate to? You have, you know, this person sitting there. There's the computer, which is our new, world. The computer is everywhere. And then you got all of these other things around it. And so this is a very relatable picture to a lot of people, and it's easy to sometimes feel overwhelmed when we do have a lot on our plate. So stress management, what is stress management? Is it even possible to manage stress, right? Yes, it is. So for starters, just to talk about some basics with stress. What is stress? Well, we all know we can probably define stress in many ways. Some people can say, my family, my dogs, my cats, my coworkers, my husband, my wife, So there's a lot of different ways that people think about stress when they think about it. But stress is a feeling or an emotional or physical tension, and it comes from an event or a thought that makes you feel frustrated, anxious, nervous, and just those kind of has those general feelings that you usually experience. And so the body reacts to that. And stress is your body's reaction to whatever that challenge or that demand is, then your body will experience that stress. And a lot of times in short bursts, stress can be positive, such as when it helps you like avoid danger or meet a deadline. A lot of times you hear people talk about how they're procrastinators and they're like, well, I'm a procrastinator, but it's good because I can get a lot done when I have a deadline or when I get put under pressure, right? And so it's stressful because it's not done, but then once you're getting put under that pressure, it's like you physically kind of force yourself to do it. And so that's not the ideal recommended way to manage stress, but a lot of people, they like working under stress because they feel like, oh, it's a rush for them, they can get it done. But you also have stress that's not good. And that's where we have to really figure out what type of changes we need to make to reduce those levels of stress. So let's talk about some of the signs and symptoms of stress. And of course, I'm more than sure people can relate to some of these signs and symptoms. Physical symptoms usually are very prevalent with stress. And sometimes, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, I'm sure someone has, people will see you and they're like, oh, are you okay? You look stressed, And so it's like, well, that's not a compliment, right? When you think about looking stressed, it's like, well, what does that mean? Have you lost weight? Have you gained weight? Is your skin breaking out? So yeah, your body does react to stress, and everybody's body reacts to stress in a different way. Headaches, you can have a lot of like tension or pain, chest pain. That chest pain, a lot of times, believe it or not, people go to the ER and they're having chest pains. And a majority of the time, it's anxiety. It's not even that they're having a heart issue or a heart attack. It's just that they are having anxiety. And so your body is reacting. And so there goes the chest pain, right? And a lot of times as well, stomach problems happen. So you always hear people say, oh, my stomach's not right, or I'm having stomach problems. Again, that is stress related. The gastro system is connected with anxiety, and all of that is connected together. And then you're having all these problems and you're like, I don't know what's wrong. But if you lower your stress levels, then a lot of times those symptoms will alleviate themselves. But for long-term stress, if you have long-term stress, then those symptoms will turn into more high blood pressure, stomach ulcers, and then it's really affecting your physical health. So you got to really pay attention to your body. Your mood, you may have a lack of focus, a lack of motivation. That usually happens because you start having some feelings of sadness and depression. You may be more irritable, having trouble sleeping at night. And so, of course, if you're not sleeping well, then your mood's not, you're not going to be happy-go-lucky, you know. So you have to pay attention to your mood. Are people telling you that, you know, hey, are you okay? Or it seems like you're getting frustrated really easily. You know, are you blowing up over small things? Those are all things you need to pay attention to. Road rage, believe it or not, you know, road rage, that comes with it too. Some people are stressed and it'll come out in other ways. They'll project it on other people. So they get in the car and they just, I'm sure y'all know somebody who get in the car, and as soon as they get in the car, it's like a switch. They just start yelling and screaming and, you know, cursing, and you're like, what's going on? So that could be because their levels of stress are high. Behavior wise, overeating, not eating enough, having angry outbursts, also withdrawing socially. And so that's one of the things that we are seeing a lot of right now, because there's not a lot of social things happening right now. And so because of that, then those who were already somewhat you know, isolated socially and didn't do much, now it's even worse. And then the social butterflies are having a difficult time right now, who love to go places and be around people and hug and, you know, just have that outgoing personality, are having to contain themselves and be inside. And so those are individuals as well that are getting stressed or anxious. And then you may find as well that you're exercising less often. If you're a person who usually you work out and you do really good being motivated, then all of a sudden you find that, you know, I'm not working out as much anymore. Those are all signs and symptoms of stress. So to talk a little bit about managing it, because the topic is stress management, right? So we've talked about all of the stuff that comes with it. So now let's talk about ways that we can manage it. And that's the important piece, because we really want to make sure that we commit to take care of ourselves. Like I said in the beginning, self-care is very important. A lot of us in the work arena, we're in helping fields. I mean, Northshore Technical Community College, you're in helping roles, right? You are supporting others in so many ways. And so how can you support others when you're broken down, right? You know, it's kind of like, you got to start with yourself. It's just like when you get on an airplane and the flight attendant gives you that spiel about what happens if, in the case of an emergency and the mask drop down, they always say, put the mask on yourself first before you help the person next to you, right? So why is that? Well, of course, you got to breathe. You got to breathe to be able to help someone else breathe. And so you want to think about it that way as you think about, like, hey, I'm going to work every day, and not just at work, but at home too. You know, I'm sure you have things to take care of at home. You have families, you have kids, you have spouses, parents that you're taking care of, whatever those commitments are that you have and those responsibilities. If you're not taking care of yourself, then everything else just falls apart. It really does. And you're not helping. And so help yourself first. Do your best to keep a positive attitude. That's easier said than done, right? Especially, you have to think about your environment, who you're around. You want to be around positive people, positive things, so that you can keep a positive attitude. Your environment plays a role in how you're feeling, right? I know, Christy, like you said, you know, how you talk about your field and, you know, you being in the field of counseling. And you know it, that's the main thing we always talk about, is how environment influences behavior. And so think about your environment. Who are you around? Where are you spending your energy at? Where are you spending your time at? And, you know, how is that working for you? Except that there are events you cannot control, right? And guess what? It's okay. It's okay. there are going to be things sometimes that you just cannot control. And so when you can't, just let it be and just only focus on what you can control. You want to be assertive instead of aggressive. That's interesting because some people may be aggressive and they may feel like, no, I was just being assertive, right? And they're really, really being aggressive, but it's okay to be assertive. It's okay to be able to assert yourself, your feelings, your opinions, instead of really becoming angry. So it's okay to talk about, sometimes just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. If that's something you need to share about your feelings, then share it. People may not necessarily like it sometimes, but as long as you're relaying it in a respectful manner, that's fine, but sometimes people relate something being uncomfortable to being wrong, and that's not always the case. So we got to get comfortable with sharing our true feelings so that we can feel better, because someone may be doing us something that's bothering us or that's not making us feel good, and we're just taking it, and we're hurting ourselves. And so we rather be uncomfortable than tell someone else like, hey, I'm not liking this interaction. Can we talk about it? So try to be assertive. Relaxation techniques. Learn relaxation techniques. I'm telling you, it's really, really helpful to learn relaxation techniques, deep breathing. There's a lot of really good mindfulness activities. Toward the end of my presentation, I will share an app with you all, which I've shared in the past. Maybe Lizanne, you probably remember the My Strength app that I shared when I did the presentation the last time, but I have that information. I sent it because we have a code where you all can use that with Access Health. And so I'll talk in more detail about that at the end of the presentation. Exercise regularly, if possible. That's very important. Make sure you eat healthy, balanced meals. Nutrition plays such a big role in the mental, okay? What you put in your body is just really important in how you're able to function. And so try to keep really good balanced meals, lean meats, vegetables, fruits. Try to stay away from the sugar. I know everybody's go-to when they get stressed is chocolate, chocolate and ice cream. Some people like candy. I'm not a candy person, but I'll do some chocolate, and ice cream. I don't know who doesn't like ice cream unless you just can't eat it, allergic or lactose intolerant. But it's okay every now and then to do those things, of course, but you just don't want to indulge. It's all about balance. Keep your balance. Now, if every night you go into the freezer getting that big Bluebell gallon of ice cream, that's we can't do that. We got to change that behavior. You want to learn to manage your time effectively, because when you manage your time, you learn to manage your time, then you do a lot better at reducing your stressors. Because if you're not managing your time well, then everything's like on that picture, how the presentation started, the picture, and she just was overwhelmed. That's how you're going to feel when you don't do effective time management. So manage your time, plan, prioritize. Whatever you can get done, great. Whatever you can't, great. Just make sure you have a plan. That's what's most important. You also want to make time for hobbies or any type of interest or things you do for relaxation, self-care, go and get a massage, or, going to the hair salon, or whatever those things are that you like doing. For men, I know, whatever, fishing or whatever activities you may want to do. And so get enough rest and sleep. That's really important. Try to get, I don't know about y'all, but I always try to get my 8 hours. And I know for some people, they're like, 8 hours, what? Because some people only getting 4 or 5, but I'm telling you, I get into bed, I look at the clock and I count to see what time it'll be in 8 hours. And I make sure I'm in bed to get my 8 hours, because I function so much better when my body is rested. And I'm an early bird too. So I like getting up in the morning and just kind of having that quiet time in the morning so that I can, get a cup of tea or, just sit down in the quiet without the TV on, light a candle and just relax before my day gets started. Because I know once my day gets started, I'm up and rolling. And so I like to kind of have my quiet time in the morning. So you all have to figure out what works for you. You may not be a tea drinker or a candle lighter, and that's fine, but figure out what works for you. What do you need on a daily basis to kind of get your day started, or, make sure that you're good enough to function a little bit better each day. And we want to stay away from relying on compulsive behaviors when it comes to drinking, drugs, all of those components. And if that is something that you find yourself indulging in too much, please reach out for support, which we'll talk about. Of course, Access Health has several behavioral health resources for you all, and we have clinics all throughout Southeast Louisiana. And at any time, we're happy to provide any type of counseling or any type of support you would need. So I'll share, I'll share some more detail, and I'll send Christy the information once we are finished with our presentation. I'll send that information to Christy to share with everyone. So just a slide now on relaxation, how you can kind of get through your work day. So sometimes you may be at work and you may be feeling overwhelmed at work. And so what can you do? There's a lot of just really small, quick things you can do. The app that I'm going to share with you all on My Strength, they have 2-minute breathing activities or 1-minute mindfulness activities. And you could put your little headphones in, sit at your desk, put that on. 2 minutes later, you're good to go. Square breathing, it just talks about ways, this is an example of how you can like breathe, hold your breath, inhale, exhale, and then rest. You can follow that cycle for square breathing. Meditation, I'm not sure if some of you meditate, but for those who do meditate, you know how helpful and beneficial it is to your mind and your body. And for some people, it may be praying. And so you just, again, figure out what works for you. Going for a quick walk. I know I've been to the Lacombe and the Bogalusa campus of Northshore Technical Community College, and both have beautiful grounds where y'all can, walk outside and get some fresh air, take a nice walk, then, go on back inside. Don't run away when you leave and take that walk. Don't keep going, just give yourself a time frame and come on back in. And so a lot of times it's good to get out and get some fresh air. In my office, I don't have any windows, so I make it a point. Every couple of hours, I'll just, step out my office and I'll go right outside and just, breathe some fresh air, take a quick walk and come on back. And it's like I automatically feel refreshed, get a little water and I'm back at it. And then you want to make a to-do list. Have your priority list there. What do I need to do today? I have a whiteboard in my office and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? These are things I need to get done today. These are things that, if I have to wait, I'm okay. So make your priority list. A small kind of snippet about the mind. It's very important as we think about our mind. Our mind is very complex, and so we a lot of times have different states of mind that we're in. This particular slide talks about the wise mind, the emotional mind, and the reasonable mind. And so most people do gravitate toward like one specific one most of the time. The goal is to have that wise mind. And so when you think of the emotional mind, it's used when feelings control a person's thoughts and behavior. And I know a lot of times that happens to a lot of people. So the difficult part about that with the emotional mind is that sometimes you may act impulsive. Sometimes you may do things without thinking it through, make a decision and you're so emotional, you don't give yourself time to just kind of wait before you make a decision. And so you want to kind of give yourself time. And that's why a lot of times if you're emotional, it's good. It's okay to be emotional. You just got to be careful with making major decisions when you're emotional, because that's when you can be rather impulsive, and then it may be something that later on you're like, man, maybe I shouldn't have did that. The reasonable mind is when you approach a situation intellectually and you plan, you make decisions. It's all based off of fact, which is good, right? So what's the balance, right? We got the reasonable mind, we got the emotional mind, but what's the balance? Well, the balance is referred to as the wise mind, and that's when you kind of have a little bit of both. And you're able to recognize and respect your feelings, but also respond to situations in a reasonable, rational way. And so that's ideal. Sometimes it people are able to do it, sometimes they're not. It just really depends on what those situations are. But you do learn how to become a better decision maker as you continue to experience different things in life. This next slide talks about self-talk. And so self-talk is very important to kind of keep yourself up and going, right? Now, I don't know if some of y'all are old school or not, but my grandmother always used to say, I see somebody shaking their head, yes. My grandmother used to always say, you talking, just be careful, when you're talking to yourself, just make sure that you don't answer yourself, right? So you could talk to yourself, but don't, you don't have a conversation with yourself, right? And so is that how, I think that's how it goes. If not, y'all correct me, but she used to say it so much, just make sure you don't answer yourself. So with the self-talk, you want to make sure that you can do like some positive affirmations to yourself. I will get through this. I'm going to take deep breaths. I'm loved. I'm safe. I'm protected. I'm going to feel good again. Think about whatever positive affirmations you may have for yourself and say them to yourself. And then the last thing on this particular slide talks about anxiety. I am not my anxiety. And I do this, I talk to my clients about this a lot of times as I work with clients who are dealing with anxiety. And I always tell them, like, don't label yourself as a depressed person or as an anxious person. That's not who you are. You just gotta just cope with the symptoms. You just gotta cope. What can you do to cope with these things? But it doesn't define who you are. So you're a little anxious. So you're dealing with depression. Okay, let's figure out what we need to do to help you cope with it. And so that's really key in your thought process, because the more you start thinking like, oh, I'm so anxious, I'm so depressed, then that thought process can really, really wear you down. The mind is so powerful. And so when you think certain things, you gotta realize how it affects you. And so try to make sure that you do some positive affirmations. So when we think about takeaways today, make sure that's a takeaway for you all. Positive affirmations, right? Saying something positive to yourself on a daily basis, one or two things. And not answering yourself when you when you talk to yourself, right? Okay, so when do we seek help? Well, let's talk about that. That's the really important piece. And so we all know this is a hard time for a lot of people in the world, but some people are coping better than others. How do we know when we need to seek help? Well, if you see that you're stressed out and you're really having trouble controlling your stress, see your healthcare professional. Some people go to their primary care physicians, and then the primary care physician may say, hey, I think you need to maybe go see a counselor. You know, some people will go straight to a professional counselor, you know, licensed social worker, licensed counselor, and immediately identify that they need this help. We have some people who don't want to do either. And so if you don't want to do either, please think of someone who's really close to you that you can connect with, that can maybe help you navigate through that process, to give you that support, because friends are great, y'all. Like, it's really great to have friends, but there is a certain point where you need to think about professional intervention if you see that you're not, you know, getting better, you're not doing better, you're not feeling better. Then that's when you have to cross over into that professional realm. And I know sometimes it's a stigma there when it comes to seeking counseling, but you got to think of mental health the same way you think of medical health. If you were having a high sugar reading, you go to the doctor and they'll give you your insulin shot, right? So if you're dealing with stress and it's significant and you have an anxiety, then you go to see a LCSW, a LPC, a licensed professional, psychiatrist, psychologist, to be able to take care of you. It's no difference, right? Just one deals with the mental, one deals with the physical. If you are having chest pain, shortness of breath, jaw, back pain, pain radiating in your arms, your shoulders, dizziness, then, you know, make sure that you go to the doctor or the ER if you have to. This is the thing. Anxiety sometimes mirrors heart attacks. Like I said in the beginning of the presentation, when you, you know, a lot of emergency room visits, it turns out to just be anxiety, but they're having like the chest pains and trouble breathing. So I always say, if in doubt, go to the ER. It doesn't matter if you think it's anxiety. If you don't know, just go, because you need to make sure that you're safe physically first. Go to the ER. And then if they tell you, you're okay, everything's good, then that's when you know you need to do something different. But please make sure that you don't automatically like not do anything about it, because anxiety does kind of mirror heart attacks sometimes. Okay, final thought. Again, a resource that we have is called My Strength, and it's a behavioral health online tool that has really great resources and activities on there. You can set your own account up. It's free of charge. Access Health has partnered with My Strength, and we provide the link to this particular app. You can put it on your cell phone. I have it on mine. I made my husband and my son download it on theirs. You can do your deep breathing activities on there. You can record how you're feeling. It's got mood charts and everything. So again, I have shared the information before prior when I've done other workshops for you guys, but I'm going to send all of that information to Ms. Montgomery, and she'll be able to share it with you all after the training today. And it's called My Strength. And so other than that, I just want to, again, leave you with just some key takeaways, which is, number one, self-care is very important. And you got to figure out a way to make sure that you're doing something to take care of yourself. It's very important. So that's the main takeaway when we think about stress management and managing our stress. And I want to leave the floor open for any questions, any comments, and I'm happy to hear any feedback that you all have at this time.
All right, guys, I am looking at the chat. If you have any questions, go ahead and begin to type those in so we can get those questions answered. Thank you so much, Ms. Zenon, for your thorough presentation. It was very good, and definitely, I believe you presented information that everyone could connect with in some way, for sure. You know, it's just amazing how stress can connect to so many different things in your physical health. You know, we were just talking through some physical health things and nutrition and different abuse of substances and all of that. We've covered all those things this week. And one thing that I've said every day is how those things are usually a reflection of your emotional well-being. You know, that many times if you're not taking care of your physical health, or if you are abusing in any way, drugs or alcohol or whatever it may be, there usually is some type of trigger there. There's something that you're trying to cope with or trying to get away from, you know. And so it all kind of ties back to that mental and emotional health. And I know personally, a couple of years I had to go through some physical therapy. And I remember going to that first physical therapy session, 30 minutes was therapy, but 20 minutes was mindfulness. And it was amazing to me that they literally put me in the room. They cut on the Calm app. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
I have.
And it literally taught me mindfulness, and I had to do that. So every session was an hour when I would go in, and they would do 30 minutes of the therapy, and then I would have to do mindfulness. And I did that for probably 6 months, because a lot of the pain that I was dealing with was connected to my stress level.
Yes.
And so they couldn't effectively deal with the tension until we kind of made a connection with the stress level as well. And so that was my first time ever really, even as a counselor, you know, I'm having tailbone pain, you know, this is tailbone pain. And they're like, yeah, but
exactly.
It is connected also to, yeah, you have some issues, but you've also got some stress level issues that, you know, it was in my normal to be
high
stress, right? And in higher ed, it's in all of our normal right now to be stressed, from the student level to wherever you are. That's our new normal, you know, right now. And you don't really realize that my body is responding in a way that's connected to what's going on around me, right? So it was very interesting. I remember getting on the phone on my way home. I was like, Mom, you know, I think I you sit there for 20 minutes and do like, some
stuff you tell people to do, right?
You know, in the physical therapy. So it just validated the work that we do in mental health. I'll tell you that.
Definitely. The stuff you tell your patients to do, you know, you gotta do this.
But it was just kind of shocking to me, but definitely very useful as well. So we all have to really take an intentional approach to making sure that every day we're looking at our personal, because and you spoke about helping professions, and you see when people are in helping professions, they tend to do just that. They're helping everyone else and not turning around and looking at themselves to do self-care. And I know that my team members get on me a lot about that, because they'll say, yeah, you keep checking on us, but how are you?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I'm good. Are you sure you're good?
And that's great. You have that, when you have that support. Yeah.
So you have to kind of turn that around and make sure that we're looking at ourselves and constantly asking the question, or am I truly okay? Or am I just in the routine of saying I'm okay?
Yes, definitely. And there's a mindfulness app on the My Strength. On the My Strength, there's a whole bunch of mindfulness activities. So y'all will be able to kind of explore those.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really so true. The mind-body connection is definitely.
So, I do have a comment in the chat. Someone said, you know, sometimes coping with stress can be stressful. And that is a true statement.
Right.
Sometimes coping with stress can be stressful because you're having to deal with a trigger that the reason why it stresses you is usually because you don't want to you don't want to face it. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to work through it. So that's a very
really valid
point. Good statement, you know. But one thing they talked about is shutting off everything, putting on music. For them, it's opera, you know, that kind of calms them. And someone in a previous presentation talked about how for some people that thing that kind of takes them away may be classical music. For somebody else, it may be heavy metal. For somebody else, it may be gospel music or whatever. But you know what your fit is, and we're all very unique. We have different preferences. Like you talked about, you're a sip tea by the candle. You know, somebody else, it may be walking on the treadmill or, you know, something else that kind of helps them to release. Some people use their drive in the morning if they have to commute a long way. There's their personal time. There's nobody else there. But those of you who have children and you really don't get that private time, you have a 2-year-old at the house. Oh, absolutely. All right. And you sometimes have to take that drive after you drop her off at the daycare, and you get 30 minutes to kind of just take a deep breath.
And that's real meaningful. That time is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So excellent, excellent, excellent presentation. Do we have any more questions, you guys? I have the chat open. You can feel free to type them in. Any comments, questions that you have at this time? Yeah. Okay. I don't see anything coming through. Any questions? Jessica is saying thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Jessica.
I think all of you have been on the presentations at some point this week, everybody that's on today. So I'm not going to show you the event flyers. I will attach them, so if there is anyone who's on here who has missed a couple of the events that we're promoting, I'm going to attach those right now so you can grab that. And it's just promoting a couple of things, just some library resources that we have related to mental health that may be beneficial to you to use even after these presentations. Also, we are promoting our town hall meeting with our chancellor. He is taking time to answer student questions. So if any students have questions for our chancellor, anything that's burning, relating to your experience as a student at the college, anything that we can be doing better, can provide clarity for, please submit those questions to me, and I will make sure that those questions are asked during our town hall meeting, which will be next week, October the 8th at 11:30. It's going to be through the same platform, through Zoom, and the same link that you're using to get into these meetings is the same exact link for that meeting. And then also we are launching our success series to basically keep you all motivated, making sure that you are mindful that we're here for you and that there are resources out there to help you to be successful. So different topics like study skills and just different things that will help you, especially as we are transitioning to begin our midterms, and then pretty soon we'll be approaching finals and all of those different things. So we're just trying to make sure that you all have all of the resources that you need, okay? But again, if no other questions, like I said, I think you all have been on the call, so you have all the information on those events, but I will be emailing all of that. Students, you should have already received emails about the town hall meeting. You're going to be getting a flyer about the success series here soon. And I'll also send out the library resources and post them on the website when I post these videos. So make sure if you have any friends or classmates who you know were not able to attend, who you feel this information would be valuable to share, make sure that when we start sending out the links for the webpage where this information is loaded, make sure you encourage your colleagues for the faculty and staff, and also your peers, students, to come and watch the videos, because we've really gotten some great information this week. So I'm very thankful for each presenter. Thank you so much, Ms. Zenon, for taking time with us. And thank you for your colleagues for joining in as well. We're also always great to have folks outside of the college to connect with us, and definitely as we appreciate the hard work that our health professionals in the hospitals are having to do, we also appreciate the hard work that our mental health professionals are having to do at this time. Our students were able to benefit from free mental health counseling through Holy Cross in New Orleans when they opened their program and said, we're offering free counseling to every college student in the state of Louisiana. We had several students that we had to refer in response to COVID and some challenges they were having. So mental health is extremely important, and we appreciate the hard work that you all are doing as well. So thank you for being here and taking time to be with us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, if nothing else, guys, thank you guys for tuning in to Wellness Week 2020. We hope to see you again next year. Be sure, students, that you are checking your email constantly, because we are sending several events through that will be beneficial to you for the rest of this semester. All right, you guys take care.